بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وآله وصحبه أجمعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Starting inshallah ta'ala, we are near the end of Surah Al-Baqarah. First, how's everyone? Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan. Right? It's a beautiful day whenever we can join together the people of the Sunnah. Right? It's a beautiful day whenever the people of the Sunnah can join together and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ways that Allah is pleased with. You know, nothing extra, nothing added. It's a beautiful thing, subhanallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us firm upon the sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and to not leave the sunnah for anything. The ayah that we're starting with today, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تداينتم بدين إلى أجل مسمى فاكتبوا وليكتب بينكم كاتب بالعدل ولا يأبى كاتب أن يكتب كما علمه الله فليكتب وليملي للذي عليه الحق وليتق الله ربه ولا يبخس منه شيئا فإن كان الذي عليه الحق سفيها أو ضعيفا أو لا يستطيع أن يمل هو فليملل وليه بالعدل واستشهدوا شهيدين من رجالكم فإن لم يكونا رجلين فرجل وامرأتان ممن ترضون من الشهداء أن تضل إحداهما فتذكر إحداهما الأخرى. In the Qur'an, Ibn Kathir, say, فَتُذْكِرُ إِحْدَاهُمُ الْأُخْرَى وَلَا يَأْبَى الشُّهَدَاءُ إِذَا مَا دُعُوا وَلَا تَسْأَمُوا أَن تَكْتُبُوهُ صَغِيرًا أَوْ كَبِيرًا إِلَى أَجَلِهِ ذَلِكُمْ أَقْسَطُ عِندَ اللَّهِ وَأَقْوَمُ لِلشَّهَادَةِ وَأَدْنَىٰ أَلَّا تَرْتَابُوا إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً حَاضِرَةً تُدِيرُونَهَا بَيْنَكُمْ فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ أَلَّا تَكْتُبُوهَا وَأَشْهِدُوا إِذَا تَبَايَعْتُمْ ولا يضار كاتب ولا شهيد وإن تفعلوا فإنه فسوق بكم واتقوا الله ويعلمكم الله والله بكل شيء عليم وإن كنتم على سفر ولم تجدوا كاتبا فرهان مقبوضة فإن أمن بعضكم بعضا فليؤدي الذي اؤتمن أمانته وليتق الله ربه ولا تكتموا الشهادة ومن يكتمها فإنه آثم قلبه والله بما تعملون عليم. طيب. This ayah, it begins, we're going to go through it inshallah step by step. But to begin with, this ayah is ayah to Dain. Ayah to Dain is the shortest or longest ayah in the Quran. Which one? Shortest or longest ayah in the Quran? Longest ayah in the Quran. And this ayah doesn't talk about salat. It doesn't talk about hajj. It doesn't talk about ibadah. It talks about mu'amalat, transactions between humans, right? And this tells us, as the ulama they point out, is that it shows the importance that Islam places on iqtisad, right? On transactions between people and economical benefit. Because you really can't have a state unless that state has economic strength. So Islam is showing that Islam is concerned about, there's no such thing in Islam as separation between church and state. Islam is the state and Islam is the deen of that state. So for a true state in Islam or a true dawla or country or society to be established and to flourish, it needs to have rules and regulations. As well, you'll see in the books of fiqh, right, that the chapters that deal with ibadah are the smallest amount of the chapters of the books of fiqh, right? You can study that within a couple, not too long of a time. The chapters that deal with salah, tahara, right? That deal with Ramadan, that deal with hajj, that deal with, acts of worship as far as bodily worship goes. Majority of the chapters of fiqh deal with what? Business transactions, marriage, family law, societal laws. What are the hudud? These are the things that majority of the chapters of fiqh surround and are dealing with. So we're on ayah 282. 282, ayah to Dain. So we learn from here that we have to be, as Muslims, we have to learn how to live in society. The Muslim is not the one that just runs off and is in a corner somewhere, but the Muslim deals in society. He has transactions. He has business transactions. He has family transactions. Sometimes two families join together to become a bigger family. All of this Islam talks about and speaks about how we should deal with these issues. So we have to be familiar and firm with that, especially the men. Especially the men. Not to say the women don't have to know it. They should know it. We need women that are scholars that know their deen. But the men are the ones who Islamically are the ones that are going to go out and earn a living for their family. Normally. Right? The men have to put that H on their back, right? They say, right? And get up off their rears and learn their deen so they can go out properly and earn a living for their family. Because how do you earn a living for your family if what you're doing is haram and you don't even know it? And then you're bringing home haram wealth to your wife or your family to cook for you, and then you're wondering why you have so many problems and you're eating the haram. And you don't even know because what you've earned is haram. As we mentioned previously, why? Let's ask a question. The last few subjects that we dealt with what? Does anyone remember? What is the last few ayat that we dealt with? What were they about? Who can remember? Who did any review? Right? People come to class, but they don't do review. And when we ask these questions, everybody's quiet, looking for someone to answer. But what are the last ayat that we talked about? Who is this? Move this way. Who is this? Don't hide. More. More. So what was the last classes that we dealt with? So who could tell me? We dealt with sadaqah, right? And we dealt with what else? We dealt with sadaqah in every different type of form. How to give, what sadaqah is accepted to Allah, what sadaqah Allah does not accept and is not pleased with, right? Spending in the path of Allah. What else did we deal with? Riba. MashaAllah, barakallah fi. We dealt with riba. So in the minds of most people, pay attention to this, right? In the minds of most people, sadaqah and riba does what? In the minds of not the believers, the minds of the people who don't have strong iman, and the minds of the kuffar. What does it do? Huh? It takes away your money. It makes you think that you're losing money. That if I give sadaqah, the people with bad iman, they say, if I give sadaqah, I'm becoming broke. I ain't got it right now, akhi. Got 500 in your pocket, but you can't give $10 in sadaqah. They think it's going to take away from what they have. But in reality, it makes their wealth grow. They say what? If I don't get that riba, they think that riba, they're going to lose their money. Oh man, I'm taking a loss by not taking riba. Right? But in reality, it's not the case. But Allah, and pay attention to this, right? So Allah now comes and talks to us about what? What does He come and talk to us about in Ayat al-Dain? What is Ayat al-Dain about? Who knows? Ya Mashayikh. What is Ayat al-Dain about? Ayat al-Dain is about business and transactions. Dain. All right? How to make money. Okay, let's look at it this way. Allah prohibited riba, right? What is riba? But but what is it? How does it take place? I need money to do something.
Extortion.
No, I need money to do something. I don't have it. I ask you to borrow it. You say, okay, yeah, but give me more on top of it. So Allah prohibited riba because you're earning money not for anything you've done, but purely off of my sweat and my flesh. My blood and sweat and tears is into that. And you earned money off of doing nothing. That you had some extra money, I need to borrow it. And you said, okay, here, and I'm going to give it back to you. But now you charge me for nothing, and I'm going to give you the money back. You didn't do nothing. I did everything to earn the money and make it grow, and I'm going to pay you back for it. Right? So Allah, as a rule, Allah never made any pleasure or any good thing or anything that you would enjoy to be haram, except that He brought another way for you to enjoy that. You understand that? Allah never made anything haram, anything that you can enjoy or that is beneficial for you, or that might have some, except that He brought another way for you to do it. That's halal and good and wholesome and tayyib, right? So we say what? Allah made the khinzir haram, right? The piggly wiggly, right? Alhamdulillah, He made it haram. But we have lamb, goat, camel, deer, chicken, so many other things to eat. Why? You hear people say, I can't be Muslim and leave alone that pig, right? SubhanAllah. There's so much other things to eat. Allah made what? He made zina haram. He told you what? Thank you, ma taba lakum min nisa. But he said, marry whoever you want from the women. Why be afraid, right? Allah made, riba haram. But he made giving loans, selling or buying something without having the money at that moment in time to be permissible in a good way. So all of the benefits that you get from riba, right? You get it in what they call salam. And the salam type of transaction is this. Because we need to understand some issues of fiqh before we go into this, right? The salam transaction, which is actually pretty common today, is what? That I don't have the money, or I give you something. I'm prepaying for something. Let's say you are a farmer and you need to do some things to get your stuff ready, right? You might not have the money right now. I buy what I want from you now and you go and get it, right? So that gives you the chance to go make some money. But now I'm not charging you for the money that you borrowed from me. I gave it to you to buy a product that you might not have right now, but you can guarantee to have it. You're a farmer, you're going to get it, you're going to make it happen, or you know where it's at, whatever it might be. And you can guarantee that it's going to look like this, it's going to be this type of way, or such and such, right? So I say, okay, here goes $500, and I want such and such product for it. You don't have the product right now, but you're guaranteeing that you're going to give me the product. And you go work to do whatever you got to do to get the product, and you give it back, and now we're good. And you might have made some extra on the side now. It's business. Look how Allah makes it easy for us to earn wealth. And this is something in reality that the Muslims need to do more of, right? So that we can share wealth. And this is how we build wealth instead of using riba. An example, we were talking about buying homes, right? Let's say you want to buy a home. Or, no, not buying a home. Let's say we want to do anything, right? But I don't have the full amount of money. But I have some skill that I can do and I can get some other type of way. Then you pay me in advance for it. And I go get it done and I make it happen. Now I made some money and I was able to get you what you wanted, even though I didn't have it previously, right? I don't have it. But I know I'm going to be able to make it, inshallah. Do we understand that? Tayyib. So that's called the salam transaction. Prepaying for something that the person did not give you at that moment in time. They didn't give it to you right now. So I'm prepaying for it. Does that make sense? Tayyib. So now we'll go into, so Allah made that permissible so that we can do business. Because you might not always have it. And you might not be able to buy it right now because you don't have the money. But you know where to get it, you know how to source it, you know how to make it. Tayyib. That's what we're talking about here. So Allah Ta'ala He says in this ayah, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu idha tadayantum bidainin. Why was this ayah revealed? Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he said this ayah was revealed in regards to the salam transaction. The transaction I just said is, well, what did I say salam is? You have to remember these terms of fiqh. What is salam? What type of transaction is the salam transaction? No, not borrowing.
When you give something in advance.
You prepaid. Prepaid, right? A very common, in reality, if we look at it, a very common example of a salam transaction is what you do on the internet, right? You buy something from Amazon, you didn't get it right then and there, but you're certain that it's going to come that type of way. Do you get what I'm saying? That's a salam transaction in reality. That I paid Amazon $50 and they told me they're going to give me, my product is going to be this amount, it's going to be this way, they give me my description. It's going to be this color, right? So there's conditions to the salam transaction. And they're telling me when it's going to come. It's going to come in 5 to 6 business days, right? But I prepaid for it. So now I'm waiting for my product. That's basically the salam. But in a general way, in another way that they used to do it during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, is that a person would prepay for some dates or some barley, whatever it might have been. And this is what they did in Medina. That a person will say, okay, I'm going to give you whatever amount of dirham or dinars for this amount of dates, right? But the dates didn't come yet. And it might not be for a year or two. The next harvest, which harvest is going to be, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, he told the people, it came in this ayat, that if a person does the salam and they prepay for the product, then it has to be for a specific weight and a specific time. It can't be vague. If you're going to prepay, then prepay for a specific amount, right? 5 kilos of dates, not just whatever you harvest. Because now I might be upset. And this is to remove any type of anger between the Muslims. Majority, all of the, the laws of Islam came to do what? Cease the problems between the people. Make sure that the people don't argue and don't fight. So it comes to make sure that everyone has their rights fulfilled in a wholesome manner. So Allah says what? The Prophet said what? That you have to do it for a specific time and a specific way. It can't be vague. It can't be, okay, cool. I'm gonna give you $500 for your harvest, and you harvest, or I'm gonna give you $500 for whatever you get, for whatever you want to give me next year of dates. Then when you come and you give me 5 dates, I might give you $500. You say, well, we didn't agree on what? No, it has to be specific weight, and it has to be specific time that you're gonna give it to.
So the boundaries.
Have to set the boundaries. طيب. So we start the ayah. Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, idha tadayantum bidainin. Come over more. I'm starting to hear people talking already. Fill in, just fill in. I think everyone took a shower, inshallah. Don't be worried. If they stink, then you put them to the side. Assalamu alaikum, you need to take a shower. Not in front of everyone. Okay? Who is this? You. طيب. You guys, get off my walls, please. طيب. So now I want everyone to really please try to pay attention to these ayah, because it's not the easiest ayah to it's an ayah that has a lot of laws inside of it, okay? It's an ayah that has a lot of laws, and that these are laws that we all need to be paying attention to, because these are things that we do. So pay attention to what's going to be said and write it down so that you understand. You understand? Write it down, because I'm going to ask you about it, because I want to make sure that we are clear on this, okay? Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha tadayantum bidainin. Right? Oh, you who believe. Who is that talking to? Raise your hand if you're included in that conversation. You sure? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Oh, you who believe. As Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, whenever Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, what should you do? Pay attention. Because he's going to address something that you either need to do or something you need to stay away from. Allah is going to start talking about something that you what? Need to do, or something you need to stay away from. So Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, idha tadayantum bidainin, right? Oh, you who believe, if you enter into a transaction where there's a dain, if you enter into a transaction where there's a debt, right? Faktubu, then write it down. If you enter into a transaction where there's a debt, then make sure that you do what? You write that debt down. Now, the debt can happen over 2 different ways. There's 2 angles that the debt can occur. It can occur from the buyer, or it can occur from the seller. The debt can occur in 2 ways. What 2 ways can the debt occur? From the buyer or the seller. The buyer might have the money, right? But the seller might not have the product. Or the seller has the product and the buyer doesn't have the money. These are the 2 ways that it happens. In Islam, generally, or in the world, and how it happens, there's 4 types of transactions, basically, right? 3 happen, are permissible in Islam, and 1 is batil, and it doesn't occur in Islam. It's not allowed, right? The 4 types of transactions are what? 1, a transaction that happens when a person buys something, bidain, when a person buys something, bay'ul ayn bil ayn, right? A person sells something, right? An actual commodity. When we say commodity, we all know what this means, commodity? Does everyone know what a commodity means? It means a product or a service, right? You sell something that someone needs, either a product or a service, and you sell that product or service for an actual price that's paid at that moment. Bay'ul ayn bil ayn. Commodity? Yeah, commodity. You sell something that people need, right? So you sell a product for cash, right? You sell a service for cash. This, of course, is permissible. We're not even talking about this, right? That doesn't even need any discussion. You sell a product for cash. Fine, it's done, it's over. The next type of transaction is you sell bay'ul ayn bid-dayn. You sell a commodity, right? You sell a product or a service for a debt. I give it to you, but you don't have the money to pay for me. Pay me right now. Pay me when you get it. And they say, right? Invoice is due in 30 days. Right? I did the service, but you don't have the money to pay right now. Okay, that's permissible. And this is from part of what we're talking about in this section. As well, there's the bay'ul ayn or the bay'ul dayn or the bay'ul dayn bid-dayn. That's selling something that you don't have or that you haven't fulfilled and the person doesn't have the money. That's batil, right? It's not acceptable. That you say, listen, I'm going to paint your house for you, right? And you ain't painted yet. And you say, okay, I'll pay you a year after you paint it. It's just playing around. Nobody got nothing, right? Nobody gets nothing out of the deal. The next type of transaction, again, that's permissible from the opposite side is bay'ud dayn bil ayn. That you pay me for something, but I don't have the product right now. Right? You pay me for something. You say, listen, I need 5 bookshelves made. And I say, okay, listen, give me $500 and I'll start making it. And then, so the debt is on me to make it now. Does that make sense? So what type of debts are we talking about? Somebody tell me, what are the 2 types of debts we're talking about? Selling something that I have, but you don't have the money. Or you buying something from me, a service or a product that I don't have at the moment. It's the same thing, but in reverse, right? And the other one is what? Selling something at the moment in time that we both, you have cash, I have product. The deal is done. So right now what we're talking about is the 2 types of dayn. Dayn that you have the product and I don't have the money, and dayn that you don't have the money but I have the product. Right? In Islam it's permissible to do both of those. And we're going to discuss how to make it fruitful, how to secure it. You look confused, you all right? You got it? Tell you. So Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, idha tadayantum. If you enter into one of those transactions, whether you're the buyer or the seller, and whether you have it or they don't have it, if you enter into one of those types of transactions, and it's a dayn, faktubu, write it down. Faktubuhu ila ajlim musamma. Write it down with detailing a specific time for it to be paid. Write it down with what? Detailing a specific time for it to be paid. Faktubu. Now, when we say a specific time for it to be paid, we're going to talk about something that might be, there's 2 types of loans. There's 2 types of loans, right? There's what they call a qard, right? It's a loan. And there's what they call a dayn. The difference between the 2 is that both are you giving something to someone who doesn't have the whatever to pay for it right now, right? But the qard is not for a specific time and is not wajib to pay it back. It's mustahab. You hope the person pays it back, but if they don't, no problem. You expected it. Like you said, here, somebody comes to you, and you know the difference. Somebody comes to you and says, yo, can I get $10? And you're like, yo, here. Now, there's like an undertone that you're saying, like, let's say they say, can I borrow $10? And you give it to them, but you know that they might not really pay it back, right? And you're not really expecting them to pay it back. But if they do, alhamdulillah, you're oh man, you did give me that $10 back. Thank you, man. Allah bless you. That's the qard. You gave a loan. It's not really, you're not worried about, there was no time that was agreed about. You say, okay, give it back to me on Saturday. That's a dayn. That becomes a debt until your neck. And you say, listen, give it back to me Saturday. You say, okay, yeah, I got you on Saturday. Then the qard is you gave it to them, but you wasn't really expecting it back. There was no time period for it, and you gave it to them. It's open. If they give it back to you, you're happy. If they don't, mashallah, right? Now, the dayn that we're talking about, we say faktubu. Why write it down? So you can remember.
So you won't, like when it comes time to paying back or anything, you won't have any disputes about it.
The main reason is to knock out the disputes. Because again, as Muslims, we want to keep our disputes at a minimum. We don't want any reason to cause there to be disputes amongst the Muslims, right? That is a rule. That's a main point amongst the Muslims, is that we want to keep the disputes at a minimum. Will disputes happen? Yes. But we don't want to give open reasons for there to be disputes, right? So Allah says, faktubu ila ajrin musamma. Write it down into a time period where, everything is detailed. Write it down, right?
Is that sort of like a manna?
And we're going to get into all that. It's going to come. It's going to come, inshallah, right? Faktubuhu. So you write it down so that no one has any disputes. That there's no, and when it's written down, pay attention to this, right? If you write it down, if you have an issue, right? Let's say the buyer forgets how much he said he will pay for it. It's written down. Return back to the contract. Let's say the seller forgets how many he said he was going to give. It's written down. There's no reason to dispute. We both agreed on what was written. So Allah Ta'ala says, Faktubu. Wal yaktub bainakum. You chewing gum? Are you chewing gum? Wal yaktub bainakum katibun bil adl. And let there write amongst them, bainakum katibun bil adl. Now, the rule here is this, that each one of them should agree to what's being written down. Wal yaktub bainakum. Let the writer write between them, right? Let the writer come and write between them what has to be written. Not that he just listens to this one person and this one doesn't confirm. Let him write between them. Let them both agree upon what's written in front of them. Now the rule comes, this command here, faktubu, which is a command. Is it wajib or mustahab? Is it wajib? Meaning you are sinful if you don't write down your contracts. Or is it mustahab? What's your proof? You guys all say mustahab. MashaAllah, ya fuqaha. Why you guys say mustahab?
Because you're going to make sure, right?
Mustahab means what? That if you do it, you're rewarded. If you don't do it, there's no sin. So why did you guys say mustahab? Huh? Why did you guys say mustahab? Why mustahab? Majority of the scholars say that it's mustahab. Majority of the scholars say that it's not wajib to write it down. Why? Because the benefit is for your dunya. The benefit's for your dunya. There's no sin attached to it in the akhirah for not writing it down. We don't know of a proof where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if you don't write it down, this sin is going to happen to you in the akhirah. The benefit is for your dunya. Allah is commanding us to do this so that we resolve disputes and it benefits our dunya. Some of the scholars, right, mention that the one who doesn't write is sinful. But the majority of the scholars, they say that it is mustahab. That if you do a transaction and the person doesn't have it and you don't write it down, you're not sinful. But you should, and it's going to save you from disputes and problems later on. طيب? فَاكْتُبُوهُ وَلْيَكْتُبْ بَيْنَكُمْ كَاتِبٌ بِالْعَدْلِ. Whoever writes between them, let him write in justice, with equity. Let him not write for this person, or let it not be something in his heart where he says, that's my man, Abdurrahman, we go way back, and he got it down, and I'm going to write this for him a little bit more. Mind you, what's the most important part? These are the people who can't read. Most of the time, a lot of the people, when they had to get a writer, it's because they couldn't read. So this katib had to be a trusted individual. Why? This person can't read, so he's dictating. And let's say you add a little salt in the game, and you say, 10 dinars when it was only 5. Or you say he only owed him this. The katib has to write justly. He can't have anything in his heart where he wants to help this person over that person. He can't want to help the buyer over the seller, and he can't want to help the seller over the buyer. He has to write justly. وَلَا يَأْبَى كَاتِبٌ أَن يَكْتُبَ كَمَا عَلَّمَهُ اللَّهُ. And don't let the writer, the katib, again the katib, nowadays we don't have that big of a deal, a necessity for a katib, right? But at that time, most people did not know how to write. Most of the people did not know how to read or write. So the katib had to be just. And the katib, if he's called to write, وَلَا يَأْبَى كَاتِبٌ أَن يَكْتُبَ كَمَا عَلَّمَهُ اللَّهُ. Don't ever let the one who's called to write refuse to write that which Allah has taught him to do. Allah gave him the skill of writing and reading. Don't refuse that. Why? Because you're helping and coming to the aid of your brother or sister Muslim. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَاللَّهُ بِعَوْنِ الْعَبْدِ مَا كَانَ الْعَبْدِ بِعَوْنِ أَخِيهِ. That Allah will help his brother, or help the slave, as long as the slave is willing to help his brother or sister. So the katib is coming to fulfill a need and a necessity of his brother or sister. Don't let him refuse to do that which Allah gave him a skill to do. Allah taught him how to read or write, and this person is needed. Let him fulfill that trust. فَلْيَكْتُبْ وَلْيُمْلِ لِلَّذِي عَلَيْهِ الْحَقِّ وَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهَ رَبَّهُ وَلَا يَبْخَسْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. So Allah Ta'ala says, فَلْيَكْتُبْ, let the katib, the writer, write. وَلْيُمْلِ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِ الْحَقِّ, and let the one who owes the wealth, the one who owes it, let him dictate to him what to write. Who writes? Who writes? The one who owes the money, or who owes the product, who owes the service. The one who owes should write. Why? He's the one who will testify against himself. This person paid his money. He fulfilled his right? Let the one who owes, let him dictate on himself what he's supposed to do. Let him testify against himself. That I owe such and such to such and such. I told him I will do such and such a service. Let him write it. Let him dictate. وَلْيُمْلِ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِ الْحَقِّ وَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهَ رَبَّهُ, and let him fear his Lord. Don't let him add or decrease. If he's owed, don't let him say, if he owes $50, don't let him say, I owe $48.95. Let him be honest. Fear Allah. وَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهَ رَبَّهُ. Let him fear Allah, who is his Rabb. Let him fear Allah, who is his Rabb. وَلَا يَبْخَسْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Bakhs means what? Don't make any deficiency. وَلَا يَبْخَسْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. It means don't let him take any loss. Don't let him make a deficiency in that contract. Don't make him lie and decrease it and say it's really this or really that. Let him be honest. وَلَا يَبْخَسْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. فإن كان الذي عليه الحق سفيها أو ضعيفا أو لا يستطيع أن يمل هو فليملل وليه بالعدل. Now, let's say the person who owes the debt, he owes the money, or he owes a service. If he is safihan, he's foolish, right? And what do they mean by foolish? They mean a person who wastes their wealth foolishly. And this is why Allah Ta'ala, he tells us that don't give the orphan their money until you test them. And they also say this, whether people want to know this or not, they say this about the women. Don't give them money. We'll talk about this later maybe. No. But they say don't give them money, right? For them to waste foolishly. If you know, it depends. Of course, you have to test. That's why you test them too. If you have a sister, brother, a sister, niece, wife, whatever, right? And they're foolishly spending the money. Sometimes you give the women your credit card or card, and they'll be on Amazon all night. And they bought everything off of Amazon. There's boxes coming to your house every day. You say, where are all these boxes coming from? They ordered the whole website. So you got to be careful. You know, especially with the man, right? He knows how much he worked for this week. He knows what he has and what he doesn't have. Might not tell the lady, right? Listen, I have $5 till next payday. He might not want to tell her because the lady might get nervous. He only has $5. She starts calling people, right? But he has $5. He knows that he can make that $5 stretch, right? The man has some dexterity. He knows how to make it work. Don't tell her that you got $5. Keep that between you and your pocket. But also don't give it to them foolishly to spend the money if you know that they're not going to spend it wisely. You have to be careful because money is not to be wasted. Allah gave money as an amana from Allah. This is rizq from Allah. It's not here to be wasted. Just thrown away and done with whatever. No, we're going to be asked about it. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, what did you do with your wealth? How did you earn it and how did you spend it? Some people don't care about that. They just say, it's here to be spent. Especially if you ain't work for it. If you didn't work for it, it's easy to spend money you ain't work for, right? So be careful. Even children are terrible for it. Don't give them money if they're going to waste it. And this is the reality. So Allah Ta'ala says, فَإِنْ كَانَ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِ الْحَقِّ سَفِيهًا. If they foolishly waste money, they don't have any real concern for their money. أَوْ ضَعِيفًا. They're too weak to do it. Either they're sick or they're of old age in their mind. Where they have haram. What's this called? Haram is what's this haram thing? What's that thing when people become old? Alzheimer's, right? And they can't remember stuff. Or la yastati'u. They're not able. Maybe they're in prison or maybe they're far away, right? They're not able to dictate for themselves. If he can't dictate for his own self because of one of these three reasons, right? Whatever falls under these reasons, again, whether they're safih, they're too young to actually realize the value of wealth. So they might just be foolish. Write down this, write down whatever. They don't care. Or they're too weak. Or they're not able even to talk. Or they don't understand the language that is happening in, right? Then let his wali, someone that he trusts, whether it be a parent, whether it be a translator, whether it be, someone that he gives, what do they call this thing? Power of attorney to. Whatever it might be. let that person dictate for them. Because sometimes you might enter into a business deal and you don't know the language of the people that well, right? Let's say somebody is new to America and they don't know the language well. They should not force themselves to try to dictate to that contract. They'll make mistakes. So they find someone to translate on their behalf, and that person will be a wali for them. So Allah Ta'ala says, فَلْيُمْلِ الْوَلِيُّهُ بِالْعَدْلِ. So let the wali dictate for him, again with what? Adl, with justice, with equity. Don't let the wali throw salt in the game. As we say, I don't know if you guys understand that saying, right? Don't let him don't let him add or decrease unjustly. Let him write exactly what he's supposed to write. Let him dictate exactly what he's supposed to dictate. Don't add or don't decrease. وَاسْتَشْهِدُوا شَهِيدَيْنِ مِنْ رِجَالِكُمْ. And let there take witnesses. 2 witnesses from who? Min rijalikum. Let there be 2 witnesses from your men. Now, when it says your men, what does it mean, your men? Let's see if any mufassirin are here today. Anybody say, what does it mean, your men? What are the conditions for them being your men? He's a man, of course. What type of man? No, it's not your family. It could be from your family, but it's not. He has to be righteous. You can't get a foolish Ayal Suk and tell him to come witness this, right? Some guy that you don't trust him with anything, and you bring him to be your witness. No, has to be a righteous man. And some of the, subhanAllah, a lot of us, we don't even realize what it means to be a righteous man. SubhanAllah, seriously. Do you know that amongst the Salaf, they said the man that doesn't have a beard is not a witness? He's not adil. The scholars say he's not adil. Because the one who shaves his beard is a fasik, they say. A fasik means an open sinner. Shaving your beard is an open, clear sin. So the one who does it is not suitable to be a witness. But people don't realize. Today we negate so much of our deen and act like this stuff doesn't exist. When you look at the book, subhanAllah, some people, we say, man, people call people witnesses that are not suitable to be a witness. Open sin is not, if you openly sin, a fasik is not suitable to be a witness. A person of bid'ah, sahib al-bid'ah, someone who goes to Mawlid, can't be a witness. Right? It's reality. It's reality. Can't be a witness. A person of bid'ah is not adil. But we act like these things don't exist. When you look in the books, they're there in the books, written for us. So it says, mir rijalikum. What does it mean, mir rijalikum? Have to be adil. Adala is a condition for a witness. They have to be upright. They have to have good deen and character. Can't be a person who misses the salah. Can't be a drunk. Can't be a shaven faced person, right? What else?
Just walking down the street.
What else? What does it mean, your men? Your what? They have to be baligh. They have to be someone who is what? Mature. They have to be over puberty, right? They have to be what else?
Somebody just like business, like a business type person.
No. They should be a free person, not a slave. They should be a free person and not a slave. What else? We're missing something big. They got to be Muslim. Mir rijalikum. Mir rijalikum. Has to be a Muslim. A kafir cannot be a witness. Why? They're from the worst of the people. What did Allah say about the kuffar? Allah says what? إن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم خالدين فيها أولئك هم شر البرية. Right? They're from the worst of creation. How can they be a witness? Subhanallah. Now look at our situation today. They're not even permissible to be a witness in our deen. But we follow behind them. We want to take their ways. They can't even be a witness. إذا جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا. What fasik is worse than a kafir who doesn't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? They are not allowed to be a witness in our dealings. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu allowed them to be a witness for each other. If they have something between each other, Abu Hanifa will permit it for them. But the scholars said they're not suitable to be a witness for nothing. Can't trust them. They're liars. If they'll lie about Allah, they'll definitely lie about a business transaction. Right? And sometimes we look at the kuffar, and this is a big problem amongst the Muslims today, that they look at the kuffar and think that the kuffar are trustworthy. Oh, look how noble and trusting the kuffar are. How? They are not allowed to be a witness amongst the Muslims. How are they trustworthy? What's trustworthy about them? That they gave you $10 and they paid it back? But they'll steal it from you another time if they kid. If they can't fulfill the trust with Allah, which is the worship of Allah alone, how do you think they're really going to fulfill the trust amongst you? They're going to cheat you, always. Always. So they have to be free. They have to be a Muslim. They have to be baligh. Can't be a little baby, right? Has to be someone that's over the age of puberty. And they have to be adil. Where do we get the proof of them being adil? Does anybody know? When we mean adil, I mean they have to have good deen. Where's the proof that they have to have good deen? It's in this ayah.
Oh, you believe?
In this ayah, no. Allah says, مِمَّنْ تَرَضَوْنَ مِنَ الشُّهَدَاءِ. From those who you are pleased with. Pleased with what? Of course, their deen. مِمَّنْ تَرَضَوْنَ مِنَ الشُّهَدَاءِ. From those who you are pleased with what? أَوَّلًا, their deen. They have to have a good deen. Their deen is trash. And you say, man, this guy, man, he don't pray. How are you going to call him to be a witness? So we have to be careful about this. This is Islamic law. Mil rijalikum. So you want to bring two witnesses from what? Your men. Tell me again, what does it mean, your men? Number one, Muslim. Come on, tell me, what does it mean, your men? Number one, Muslim. Number two, what? They have to be free. They have to be over the age of puberty. What else? They must be good practicing Muslims, right? Not just Muslims. They got to have a good deen. Their deen has to be strong, right? Their deen has to be acceptable. They have to have an acceptable level of Islam. طيب. وَاسْتَشْهِدُوا شَهِيدَيْنِ مِنْ رِجَالِكُمْ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَكُونَا رَجُلَيْنِ. But if you can't find two men, فَرَجُلٌ وَامْرَأَتَانِ مِمَّنْ تَرَضَوْنَ مِنَ الشُّهَدَاءِ أَنْ تَضِلَّ إِحْدَاهُمَا فَتُذَكِّرَ إِحْدَاهُمَا الْأُخْرَى. If you can't find two men, then what? Then you take you take one man, righteous, that fulfills the conditions, and two women. And two women. Why? Just in case one forgets. The ladies, they don't like this type of stuff, right? They say, oh, why it takes two of us to be witnesses? Well, who cares what you think? Allah said it, right? No, we're not going to say that, right? But the real reason is why. Because, the real reason is this. Normally, not today. Today you see a little bit different. But normally in the past, women didn't get involved in business like that. Even Khadija radiallahu anha, right? She had a wakil. She sent the Prophet to take care of her business. She had somebody else that was taking care of her business. People talk about Khadija all the time, right? That, she was a businesswoman. Yeah, but how did she do business? Was she out in the market selling and buying? No, she sent people to do business for her. She just had money. She was more of a wealthy woman than a businesswoman, right? That's the reality. She was more of a wealthy woman than a businesswoman. She had wealth and she employed people to do business with her wealth. She wasn't out in the marketplace, yo, buy this, sell this. No, that wasn't the way. That's not the way of women. It takes away from the zinat al-mar'a hayat. The woman's beauty is her hayat, her modesty. So the woman, how can the woman really, reality be in the marketplace, buying and selling, mixing with men in this manner? She's going to lose her hayat, right? She's going to be joking and laughing and playing with the men. Right? That's what's going to happen. Because part of buying and selling is what? Mujamala. You got to do some flattery in buying and selling. Talk nice. Hey, that's part of what happens in buying and selling. Have you ever seen a woman who buys and sells and she just, Salaam alaikum, buy this? Is that what happens? No. She's going to laugh and joke and because that's what you do when you buy and sell. There has to be a level of salesmanship in buying and selling. So why would a woman want to enter into that field and be buying and selling, except that she's going to lose much of her hayat? It's very difficult for her not to. Right? Am I wrong? So why do we say now about the women being in this situation? They normally don't have experience in business transactions. And it's not important to them. People say women don't forget anything. That's not true. Women don't forget what they don't want to forget. Right? If they want to remember it, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, they'll never forget it. But stuff that's not important to them, they'll forget it and it'll be gone, right? A business transaction that she not working, to her it's like, you said what? 5 dinars? Okay, cool. And it's not important to her. She's going to focus on what she wants to focus on. and it's not your business transaction. So she's going to say, okay, you know what? When you call her, she might have forgot. She got children to take care of. She's worried about remembering recipes to put, 2 tablespoons of salt and not 3. She has a lot going through her head. You think she's going to remember your 5 dinars? No, she's like, I think it was 3 or something. I don't know. Go ask somebody else. But that's why you have 2, because one might forget. The women like to hear these type of ayat and say, oh, why it takes 2? No, but really look at yourselves and ask yourself, is it important to you? What happened at that business deal? It's not. So you'll forget it and you'll say, okay, but ask somebody else. If the other ones, they'll say, no, it was 5. You sure it was 5, sister? Yeah, I remember, because remember that day? And they start talking and then say, yeah, you're right, it was 5. Allah knows your situation better than you do. Allah says it's going to take another one to remind you, because you might forget. And that's the reality. They might forget. Because again, they're not in that field normally, where they're worried about that normally. Their husband goes out to take care of business. They're like, he got it. I don't even know why he told me to come and be with it. I don't care. Just bring home chicken tonight and not turkey. Right? Yeah. So it's not a naqs, as the women like to think, or some kuffar, they try to say, oh, but the Muslims make it take 2 women. Allah knows the reality of everyone more than they know it themselves. So Allah put everyone where they are suitable to be. It takes 2 women. They might forget. But again, it's being written down. Right? So we say, فَتُذَكِّرُ إِحْدَاهُمَا الْأُخْرَى وَلَا يَأْبَسْ شُهَدَاءُ إِذَا مَا دُعُوا. Don't let a witness refuse to bear testimony. Right? That's when we talk about snitching and this type of stuff, right? If you're called to be a witness, it is haram to not be a witness. If you're called to be a witness, you got to be a witness. Why? Because that's the establishment of the haqq. Somebody's haqq has to be established. And you hide it, you become a sinful individual. You're hiding it and you cause someone to lose their haqq. The rights have to be established. Justice has to be established. And if you don't establish justice, you are a criminal. If you don't establish justice and you're called to establish the haqq and you refuse, even though you know the truth, you're a criminal. Because now you've assisted somebody to take the rights of someone else. You're just as guilty. You're a supporter. You've supported somebody losing their rights. So, وَلَا يَأْبَ الشُّهَدَاءُ إِذَا مَا دُعُوا وَلَا تَسْأَمُوا أَن تَكْتُبُوهُ صَغِيرًا أَوْ كَبِيرًا إِلَىٰ أَجْلِهِ. And don't become lazy. Don't become bothered. Don't become tired and overwhelmed that, I don't want to write all the time. وَلَا تَسْأَمُوا أَن تَكْتُبُوهُ صَغِيرًا أَوْ كَبِيرًا إِلَىٰ أَجْلِهِ. Whether it's a little bit amount or it's a lot amount, write it down. $10 or $15, write it down. Why? Because we want to remove there being any disputes. Because how many relationships have you seen messed up over $5? Right? You owe me $5. It's $5. That meant $5 meant something to that person. Right? So write it down, whether it's small or a lot. Whether you get tired, whether you have a lot of transactions going on or not, write it down for the benefit of removing the doubt. We don't want there to be any doubt, or we don't want there to be any problems between the Muslims. Write it down. And don't become lazy or bothered to do such, whether it's a small amount or not. Write it down and write it down to the date that you want it back. And this helps the person who owes the money. Let's say someone owes the money. They won't, if it's written down, they won't try to become tricky, right, about what they really owe. Nah, man, I'm telling you, it was only $15. They go back to what was written.
Bismillah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له
طيب. Now, so in continuing, ولا تسأموا أن تكتبوه صغيرا أو كبيرا إلى أجلي. Whether it's a lot or a little, write it down. Take your time and write it down. ذلكم أقسط عند الله وأقوم للشهادة وأدنى ألا ترتابوا. Allah says that is more just in the sight of Allah. And again, why is it more just in the sight of Allah? Because Allah commanded you to do it. Anything that Allah commanded us to do and we do it, is fulfilling the reward, is pleasing to Allah. Allah commanded us to do it, even if we don't think we need to do it. Only for the fact of the matter that Allah commanded it is enough reason for us to do it. Even if it's not haram if we don't do it, Allah commanded us to do it, so we should do it. It's that simple. وَأَقْوَمُ لِلشَّهَادَةِ, and it's more just between and more correct between as a witness. So the witness might forget something, but this will allow him to return back to what's written and say, yeah, I did agree to that. I did remember that happening. So we have two types of verification. We have the verification of the witness's memory and of what was written down. This is verification that two witnesses and the paper that was written down. There can't be a dispute here. وَأَدْنَا أَلَّا تَرْتَابُوا, and it's more close that a person will not have any doubt in regards to it later, right? Because people, sometimes they forget. But if you wrote it down, then it will cause the people to lose their doubt. They can return back to it, and that which is written becomes certainty. إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً حَاضِرَةً تُدِيرُونَهَا بَيْنَكُمْ فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ أَلَّا تَكْتُبُوهَا. So Allah Ta'ala says, except, now the only exception to writing down your business transaction is that this business transaction is an immediate sale. It's done right then. The sale is done right then and there, right? You have a shirt, I have $5. Here. You don't have to write it down. Or even if it's not right now, it's like 2 minutes from now, right? I say you have a shirt, you say, okay, I'm going to go get it real quick, and you come back with it in the next hour. Okay, you don't have to write it down. It's not going to forget between that situation. There's no sin, there's no crime, there's no hardship if you don't write it down. Why? Because that happens so often. How often does a person sell a shirt, this? You can't write it always down. So Allah removed the hardship from us in that situation. And it's not a difficulty. People are not going to dispute about it normally, right? It's not going to be a problem that people are going to argue about. No, you told me $10. We just talked about it 3 seconds ago. We can't, there's no way possible that you forgot that fast. Unless there's something wrong with you or you're trying to play games. وَأَشْهِدُوا إِذَا تَبَعْتُمْ إِذَا تَبَايَعْتُمْ, but make sure that there's witnesses when you do a sale. وَلَا يُضَارَّ كَاتِبٌ وَلَا شَهِيدٌ, and this can be understood in two different ways. وَلَا يُضَارَّ كَاتِبٌ وَلَا شَهِيدٌ, it can be understood that the katib, the one who writes, and the shaheed should not harm the person who owes the debt or the person who the debt has to be paid by. Meaning, the katib, the writer, should not try to throw something in the writing. And the shaheed should not try to bear witness about something that he did not witness, right? As well, the scholars, they say, can be recited in another way, which brings a meaning to mean that the writer or the witness should not be harmed by their writing or their witnessing. What does that mean? It is not permissible for us to put an unnecessary burden on the writer, or put an unnecessary burden on the witness, right? Or that now, you know how people do, they want to threaten the witness. You better not say that you did this, right? No, you can't just haram. You can't harm the witness. You know, people say, you snitching? You better not tell my island. Right? Because I know what you did yesterday too. I'm going to tell them, well, no, can't do it. Person want to bear witness, they can bear witness. Scout's honor, right? Scout's honor, I'm going to tell. And you can't do nothing wrong with me. I'm telling. Right? MashaAllah, you told. Also, another thing is that, let's say a person wants you to be a witness, but now they're in Saudi Arabia. They got to pay for you to get over there. You can't say, you got to come, Allah said it to witness. No. If you want them to come, you got to pay for them to come. You got to take the burden off of that person. You want the person to write, pay them something for writing. You can't just expect the person to come every time that you want them to write and take their time and you write. It's your Allah says, فَلْيَكْتُبْ. Right? Nah. Pay them something. Make it worth their time. When تَفْعَلُوا ذَلِكَ وَإِن تَفْعَلُوا فَإِنَّهُ فُسُوقٌ بِكُمْ. And if you do that, then that's fisk. What do we say fisk is? Fisk is to go outside of obedience to Allah. To do something outside of obedience to Allah and to do it without knowing it's wrong, right? You know it's wrong. You knowingly disobey Allah and you do it without any problem, right? That's fisk if you do that. If you harm the writer, if you harm the witness, that's disobedience to Allah. If the person, the writer, and if we say the other way, if the writer harms the one who, if the writer or the witness harms either sahib al-haq, the one who the money is owed to, or if they harm and they lie for the one who owes the debt, then this is haram, this is fisk. Wattaqullah, so have taqwa of Allah. Fear Allah. Stay within the bounds of what Allah has commanded you to do. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ And if you fear Allah, Allah will teach you. He will give you knowledge. And this is one of the greatest ayahs for the talib al-ilm to remember. That the way that you're going to increase in your knowledge and your application is by fearing Allah. If you have taqwa of Allah, then Allah Ta'ala will increase you in your knowledge. And He will teach you what you didn't know before. He will give you insight, firasa, and you will understand the text. There's a difference between learning something and understanding it, having fahm. One person might memorize something, but they're ignoramus. They don't understand it at all. And another person might not memorize much, but he understands well. We want to be both. We want to memorize a lot and understand, right? But the point is, understanding is what's more important. That you understand what's going on. Allah will teach you that, but you have to have taqwa for your mind to work properly. For your mind to work properly, you have to fear Allah. If you can't understand it, then you always like, I don't get it. You got to ask yourself, make istighfar. If you don't never get it, make istighfar. If you don't understand what's going on, make istighfar. There's something wrong with your belief, with your iman, that Allah is not letting the light of His ilm go into your heart. Because knowledge is what? It's light. And if that light's not going in your heart and you can't understand, there's a reason. If you can't understand that what you're doing is wrong and a person is giving you proof after proof, then there's something wrong with your heart. And you have to check your heart. Fear Allah and Allah will teach you. Wallahu bi kulli shay'in alim, and Allah is of everything all aware. Allah has knowledge of everything. When kuntum ala safarin, this is the last ayah, right? When kuntum ala safarin. Now, if you're on a journey, when kuntum ala safarin, walam tajidu katiban, and you can't find a writer, someone to write. And this doesn't just mean a katib. If you can't find writing utensils, right? Can't find paper, can't find a pencil, you don't have your phone, whatever, right? And you can't find something to write with, farihanu maqbudah. Then a guaranteed something to a rahan is something that you give someone, right? When you don't have, how do you say this in English? It's like a pawn. What is it?
It's called
What is this thing? Like when you pawn something, right? You know when you pawn something, when you go to the pawn shop, you know when you go to the pawn shop and you give them, they give you $5, $10, $15 for what you gave them, right? They have to hold that by law because it's pawned, it's not sold.
So you bringing it back.
You might bring the money back and get what you pawned back. Collateral. Now, it's collateral, right? So you're leaving collateral for what you're bought. I need $50. I need 500, or let's say I need whatever it is, right? I don't have the money to pay it, but I'll give you my watch. Here, take my watch. Yeah, take my collateral. Take my watch as collateral. I'm coming back. You know I'm coming back for my watch. So take my watch, and when I come back to get my watch, I'll give you the money. It's collateral. We can't write it down, but I have something that's valuable to you. Now you've given me something that's valuable to you to hold, to guarantee that you're going to come pay me. Right? So if you're on a journey, you can't find anyone to write it down, but you want to do a deal, then take a collateral. Take some collateral where you're going to hold that product, or you're going to hold that valuable item that this person loves and wants this item back until they come and pay you the money that they said they're going to owe you. Right? فَرِهَانُ مَقْبُوضًا فَإِنْ أَمِنَ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا فَلْيُؤَدِّ الَّذِي اؤْتُمِنَ أَمَانَتَهُ وَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهَ رَبَّهُ. But if you trust each other, let's say that's your man, that's your homegirl, right? And you have a jilbab that she wants, and you're like, okay, I'll buy it, but I don't have the money right now, sis, you know, but that's your homie. Y'all talk to each other all the time. You trust her. You trust him. Then it's no problem. فَلْيُؤَدِّ الَّذِي اؤْتُمِنَ أَمَانَتَهُ. Right? Then let the one who's been trusted, let him fulfill that trust. Don't be a loser. That somebody trusts you with something, you like, I got over it today. No, they trusted you. Because they know you. They felt they know you. They felt that y'all go back, y'all way back, like, you know. So if you trust that person, make sure you fulfill that trust. Don't be the person that's giving a trust and you say, woo, I ain't paying that. I don't know why they trusted me. No. Pay your trust. وَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهَ رَبَّهُ. And fear your Lord. Fear Allah. وَلَا تَكْتُمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ. Let me go back to this again. Don't hide your testimony. If you're asked a question, don't hide your if you're brought for an official situation and you're asked to bear witness, do not hide it. Don't conceal your testimony. وَلَا تَكْتُمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ وَمَنْ يَكْتُمْهَا فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُهُ. And whoever conceals their testimony, that only comes from a person that has a what? A sinful heart. Their heart is dirty. So they, you know, and most of the time that's the truth, right? When a person doesn't want to tell the truth, it's because of what normally? They got some problems with themselves in their backyard, right? They don't want you to tell on them. Don't you see that happening? Or they're doing some things wrong, so they're like, man, I can't get caught telling because it's going to mess up my credibility with doing more crime, right?
I don't want to open the door I can't shut.
I don't want to open the door I can't shut because I want to do some more evil stuff. I don't want nobody to tell on me. Is that not what happens normally? The one who doesn't want to bear witness because they got some dirt in their heart. It's a reason that honorable people, if you ask them to tell the truth, they're going to tell the truth. That's what honorable, good people normally do, right? But evil people, they're like, nah, I ain't telling them, I ain't getting involved in that because, shoot, you know, tomorrow I might do something. I don't want nobody to tell on me. No. Good people, they're going to tell. If there's a situation. Wallahu bima ta'maluna alim. And Allah, in regards to what you're doing, is all knowing. Allah knows everything that you're doing. So there's no reason that you lie about it and act like you're going to get away with it because Allah already knows. هذا وصلى الله عليه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Are there any questions? I want to, just so everyone knows,